to Houston Real Estate Radio. Today we've been answering your real estate questions from the Texas Home and Garden Show. Lots of great call-ins, lots of great information. We love answering your real estate questions. If you've got a question, give us a call, 281-882-8088. You can also tweet in your questions. If you like to tweet on Twitter, go to use hashtag HRER, and we'll be happy to answer your questions that way. We also have a Facebook page. If you'd like to write us a question over on Facebook, we'll get it that way too. So we like answering your real estate questions. Just throw them our way, 281-882-8088. And on today's show, I've had a couple of guys here joining me on the show. Chris Childress has been here. And also Keith Abear have been answering your real estate questions. And I've got some information for you. This segment, we want to talk about some of the things going on. Some of the hot issues going on. One of them is going to be on the ballot on November the 4th. Now, in order to be able to vote on November the 4th, you have got to register to vote by tomorrow, Monday. It's the last day you can register to vote. So make sure that you're registered to vote. And then you can do early voting and then go on to, if you want to wait till November 4th, you can wait till November 4th to vote. So real important, though, that you are registered by tomorrow so that you can vote. And then on Tuesday, it's National Night Out. National Night Out, just real quickly, National Night Out is America's Night Out Against Crime. It began back in 1984 as an effort to promote involvement in crime prevention activities, police community partnerships, neighborhood camaraderie, and to send a message to criminals, letting them know that neighborhoods are organized and fighting back against crime. So I know a lot of communities and a lot of neighborhoods have things going on Tuesday night. So try to get home from work and participate if you can. It's a National Night Out on Tuesday, October the 7th. Always a fun thing to participate in. I know we have such great master plan communities around here in the suburbs that we have great things on Tuesday night, so that'll be fun. All right, let's talk about Proposition 1, because I was down at the Texas Association of Realtors convention a few weeks ago, and Proposition 1 was a big topic for discussion. If you want to find out more about what we're going to be talking about this segment with Proposition 1, you can go to TexansForProp1.com and use the numeral 1. Don't spell it out. TexansForProp1.com and get some additional information on that. Okay, Chris, tell us what we're voting on November 4th when it comes to Proposition 1.
All right, basically what it is, it's a proposition to increase funding for Texas highway system. A lot of our highways are older. The Department of Transportation's got roughly a $20 billion budget annually to keep it up and also to grow and expand to accommodate for all the new people that are coming in. And there's just simply a shortfall. The majority of that funding actually comes from a gas tax. For every gallon of gas that we buy, 20 cents per gallon is put back towards road construction and repairs.
It's not enough.
It's nowhere near enough, and that was established a long time ago. It's not percentage based; it's a flat 20 cents. So if you take into account inflation and all that since it was first put into place, it actually nets true dollars to us of 6 or 7 cents per gallon. And it's just nowhere near enough in order to do that.
The big push right now is that you vote for Proposition 1 on Election Day on November 4th, and you can do early voting from October 20th through October 31st. You can do early voting. Proposition 1 is vital to ensuring that the state's able to maintain a modern transportation system in the face of continued economic expansion and population growth. Houston, especially Houston, but all of Texas has grown so fast with this organic growth of just companies and people moving here that we just cannot keep up with the infrastructure problems. And so if Proposition 1 is approved by voters, then Proposition 1 would allow the state comptroller to allocate funds to the State Highway Fund, which is Fund 6, from half of the general revenue derived from the oil and gas production taxes that are currently transferred into the Economic Stabilization Fund, which is also known as, well, you probably know it as the Rainy Day Fund. So, this is something that Senator Robert Nichols, he filed this bill. It's been very important to him, and he's gone all around the state talking about it, and they made some provisions to the bill. And really, we want to get the word out there about Prop 1 and make sure that everybody votes on it. And one of the important key things that I want to make sure you're aware of is that if you vote straight Republican or straight Democrat, I don't care what you're voting, but however you vote, if you vote straight across, you will not vote for Prop 1. You won't vote for the propositions. You have to actually scroll down to them and cast your vote. So don't miss it on the ballot by casting a straight ballot. Make sure you scroll down and vote for Proposition 1. It's a great thing. And the Rainy Day Fund, which you heard a lot about over the last year or so. The Rainy Day Fund was established by voters in 1988, and it allows the state to save money and allocate excess revenue that can be used during times of financial stress. And Fund 6 is the state's primary highway funding mechanism, which collects the majority of highway-related revenue from federal reimbursements, state motor fuel taxes, and vehicle registration. That's what the Rainy Day Fund is, and we need this money. Quite frankly, we need this money for transportation.
Yes, I really think it's important. And when I'm looking at the bill, I would have to think that somebody listened to the Dave Ramsey group a little bit, in that part of the bill requires TxDOT to find $100 million in savings. So it's not just funding them; it's also saying TxDOT must find these savings and to help pay off this debt. Also, this bill cannot be used for toll roads; it can only be used to fund public highways, and I think that's a good thing. So it doesn't increase your taxes anywhere.
Right. Proposition 1 gives Texans, you, the voters, a unique opportunity to provide billions more in reliable transportation funding, an estimated $1.7 billion in the first year alone, with no new taxes, no fees, no debt. And that's really important.
Yep. I think it's an awesome program. And, one thing about this fund is that Texas, their fund is as large as, California, Florida, Oklahoma, Louisiana. And most all the other states, our fund alone encompasses the fund of all the same amount of funds of all the other states combined.
We're a big state. We got a lot of roads.
Yes.
And Texas has always been known for the quality of its highways. When you cross over from some of the neighboring states, Louisiana, into Texas, it's almost instant that you recognize the quality, and it takes a lot of money to maintain that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I grew up in the Louisiana area, and believe me, I know when you hit Texas, you were happy to hit them roads.
Absolutely, and it'll trickle down to the voters, and independently. Of course, it helps accommodate people moving to the area, but it's going to save us money and frustration. It saves on wear and tear on your vehicle. Of course, it saves on time spent on the road commuting because you're expanding roads to accommodate for all those people. So it really benefits us at the ground level as well.
Right. Let's hear what Dr. David Ellis had to say. He is the senior research scientist at Texas A&M's Transportation Institute, and also he works with the infrastructure and does some investment analysis. And he's a visiting professor of urban planning, so he really knows a lot about the infrastructure of Texas. He's done a lot of research on it. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
That is an interesting topic for folks, and that is this whole notion of our transportation system and the connection between the economy and our transportation system, and the importance of our transportation system to our livelihood. I was reminded just the other day, talking to a good friend of mine, Alan Pisarski, who lives up and works up in Virginia, consultant known nationwide, and we were talking about some of the congestion problems in Texas, and he said, David, he said, you've got significant congestion problems in some of the urban metropolitan areas like Houston and Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, that sort of thing. He said, but Houston in particular, and Texas in general, it has really been a victim of its own success, in the sense that our economy has been strong and people want to live here in Texas, and so they come to Texas to work and to live, and they bring their cars with them. He said, you got to always keep this in mind. The easiest way to solve a congestion problem is to have a really, really bad economy.
Yeah, we don't want that.
That's exactly right. That's not the way we want to go about solving our congestion problems.
That's right.
But it is, in many ways, he's right. If nobody wanted to live here, if there weren't jobs available, if it wasn't a great place to live with great economic opportunity for our citizens, we wouldn't have so many people coming here.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, I'm not sure we can continue to solve the problems solely using the ways we've tried in the past, which again is to add capacity. We're going to have to be smarter about the way we solve problems. If you look at it as an economist, which is the way I look at it, that's what I do for a living, and there's a supply side and a demand side. The supply side's the roadway and the transit systems that are out there. The demand side is all of us who want to go somewhere.
Right.
The way we've always tried to solve that is to provide more supply. We're going to have to start looking at ways that we can reshape demand, and do that not by restricting people's freedoms, but by giving them more freedom. Basically, we've put these roads on the credit card, if you will. We have issued through Proposition 14, Proposition 12, the Texas Mobility Fund. All of these programs are debt programs in the sense where the state goes out and borrows the money. And then in the case of Proposition 12 and Proposition 14, that authorized, they were constitutional amendments that the people voted on and approved to issue this debt to fund transportation improvements. And so what has to happen is that the tax revenue that comes in from vehicle registration fees and gasoline taxes then has to service that debt. Now, you can do improvements in the short term to your transportation system using debt, but that is not a sustainable long-term policy. At some point, you have to stop borrowing money. Possibly in the short run, $17 billion, I think, in the rainy day fund. There's going to be a lot of demands on it, and a lot of political will to keep that rainy day fund sacrosanct, if you will. But the fact of the matter is, even if we tapped into it for transportation to $1 billion, $1.5 billion, $2 billion, whatever the case is, that's not a long-term policy. That's a one-off.
All right, so Proposition 1's definitely not alone. It does it does not cost taxpayers, and I think that's really important for consumers to note when they're voting on Proposition 1 on November 4th.
Yep. Yeah, well, it really is important to know that it's Tuesday, November 4th, and you have to register by tomorrow?
Yep. Tomorrow is the last day to register for voting, so make sure you get registered online to vote, or you can go down and do it at the local courthouse, or you can go online and do it. And, I think it's important to know that there are a lot of people working on this transportation problem. It's not just one entity it's not TxDOT, it's not any one organization. There are a lot of organizations working together to fix this infrastructure problem in Texas. And Proposition 1 is not going to cure it, but it is a good first step in the right direction. So I definitely think that it is a good thing for consumers to vote Proposition 1, and I think it's a good first step.
Yeah, tremendously. It also is going to create a whole bunch of new jobs too. To estimate 20 for every $1 billion that's input into the fund, it's close to 28,000 jobs created across the board, whether it be directly with the Department of Transportation or suppliers for the construction. So.
All right. That sounds good. All right. We're going to be back next week here on Houston Real Estate Radio. You've heard from David Ellis out at Texas A&M's Transportation Institute. You've also heard from Keith Hebert and Chris Childers today on today's show. And we'll be back next Sunday between 11 and noon with more real estate information and updates for you. I'm Shannon Register. We'll see you next Sunday on Houston Real Estate Radio.